Welcome to Arirang Live. It's 11 a.m. here in Seoul, and I'm Kim Dami. In just a minute, we're going to cross over to the latest briefing from the South Korean health authorities on the COVID-19 outbreak. This is the first briefing of the day. South Korea confirmed 58 new COVID-19 cases on Friday. All of them broke out in the metropolitan area of Seoul, Incheon, and Gyeonggi-do province. The nation's total number of confirmed cases stands at 11,402. With no additional deaths, the death toll remains at 269. On Friday, the South Korean government pledged to check on all local e-commerce distribution centers and swiftly come up with measures for those workplaces. This comes as the daily number of COVID-19 cases has spiked due to cluster infections related to a distribution center in Bucheon City. And the briefing has just begun, so let's take a listen.
Let us now begin our regular briefing for May 29th, Friday. As of today, midnight, we have 58 new cases. And the local transmissions were 55 and 3 were imported cases. And as of today midnight, we have a total number of confirmed cases standing at 11,402 and a total of 10,363 have been discharged following full recovery, and currently 770 people are in quarantine undergoing treatment. Fortunately, we had no additional fatality as of yesterday. This morning, KCDC held a meeting presided over by Prime Minister Chung Se-kyun, and we touched upon the issues of the increase in the metropolitan area's outbreak, and we talked about other related measures. And Prime Minister Chung Se-kyun has said that in order for us to guarantee our students to resume to offline classes on a scheduled date, all of the members of the public need to become respective agents and responsible agents for quarantine. And he says that as we have an increase in the business establishments infections, he asked all of the companies to have a higher sense of responsibility. And he says that under these conditions, we need to intensify our quarantine measures. Today, in the metropolitan area, we have had an increase in the number of confirmed cases, and the details are as follows. Regarding the Bucheon Logistics Center, now we have 96 patients related to this case after we have confirmed the first case in the 23rd of May. And of the total of more than 4,300 people who are working at the logistics center and the visitors, we have completed the testings for almost all of them, and we believe that we will be identifying all of the confirmed cases who were working there. However, we are continuing to see local transmissions. And the number of those who have been working there amount to 70. However, the confirmed cases that are the contact of these people amount to 26, and it is deemed to increase. The infections is now leading to other local logistics centers, as well as other business establishments like the call centers. And aside from them, we are also seeing sporadic outbreaks. And we are seeing them focusing on the bars, restaurants, and the insurance companies. And their sources of infection is unknown as of yet. The quarantine authorities, we are exerting our full efforts to trace down these patients. However, they have already spread to the local communities, and we have a high risk of a local transmission. In particular, considering the density of population and the movement of population in the metropolitan area, if we fail to identify these patients at an early stage, they could lead to a wide range of infection. And considering all of these characteristics, starting from 6 p.m. today up until June 14th, we have been announcing yesterday that we will be intensifying the quarantine measures in the metropolitan area. We will close down all of the public-run culture and arts facilities, as well as halt of all of the public events and gatherings, and we will also diminish any of the gatherings that could lead to public gathering. And as for the academies and PC rooms and bars, we ask these facilities to suspend operation, and if they need to be open, they have to comply with strict quarantine measures. Such administrative order has been put in place. We ask for your participation if you are living in the metropolitan area. For the next 2 weeks, please cancel or postpone any gatherings, and please refrain from going to restaurants and buffets, and please refrain from going to enclosed, crowded spaces. On top of this, please remember that you could be exposed to the virus at all times. Please comply with the quarantine measures, including wearing face masks and washing of your hands. And especially as we have a warmer temperature, we witness many people are going outside without wearing masks. However, when you step outside, please wear your masks. And as for the business establishments that are located in the metropolitan area, we also ask for your cooperation as well. Please designate a person who will be in charge of quarantine. And if you have diverse numbers of patients, you need to be suspicious of a possible cluster infection and take appropriate measures. And if your business establishments have a high number of employees, please operate in time shifts and have flexible work hours. And as for the Bucheon Logistics Center, we have identified the coronavirus on the hats and the clothes that the people have worn inside the facility. So we ask all of these companies to carry out quarantine and disinfection. And I understand that many of the businesses could be concerned about their immediate loss, as this incurs costs. However, we need to be vigilant. And please remember this. And during the weekend, just as you did, we ask the religious facilities and places of worship to continue to comply with the quarantine measures. And please remember that we had a cluster infection centering around the biblical study. And please refrain from having close gatherings of people. And the government will also continue to carry out intensified quarantine for the logistics centers. And we will identify all of the similar facilities and establishments that are similar to such logistics center. And starting as of 28th of May, we carried out an emergency meeting with related ministers, and we will also continue to inspect the quarantine for these facilities. And up until June 1st, we will be carrying out emergency inspection for about 33 similar establishments. And we will be providing guidelines for the logistics center sometime today, and we will make sure that we have no room that is left behind. And next, we have a few words for the compensation of the hospitals that are working to develop the treating of the COVID-19 patients. Up until now, the government has been providing a lot of compensation in terms of financially for the hospitals, and we have provided a guideline for such compensation, and they have been distributed to the health centers. And the government, we acknowledge that the infectious disease designated hospitals do not incur any loss, and as of April, we have designated about 149 hospitals, and we have given about 12 billion Korean won of fundings, and we also will give out funding to 66 designated hospitals, and we will be giving up to 18 billion Korean won, and they will be helping to incur any of the losses that have incurred due to the loss of hospital beds, and these will be also included in this number, the lump sum payment. And these are given as an emergency measure, and this is not an entire entire amount, but we will continue to provide compensation going forward. Starting from now, the next 2 weeks will be a very crucial moment for us to curb the further outbreak in the metropolitan area. As the local transmissions will expand, we believe that this will lead to an infections among the schools, and this will also halt our resumption of schools. And this measure has been put in place in order to curb the local transmissions in the metropolitan area, and this is to also ensure the daily routines for our students as well. Starting from Wednesday, we had the second phase of resumption of offline classes for students, and many of our students have been having happy faces since they were very delighted to meet their friends and teachers again. And in order to ensure their continued going back to school, this calls for the dedication and sacrifice of the adults. We have successfully halted successful local transmissions, and we also have a successful case of general elections. And we ask the members of the public to continue exert your efforts going forward. And the quarantine authorities will also exert our full efforts to curb the current outbreak here in the metropolitan area as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
There you have it. South Korean government has once again pledged to intensify quarantine measures in the metropolitan area. We'll bring you more details on the briefing in our upcoming newscast at 12 p.m. Korea time. Goodbye.